Welcome back to my channel, CEOs. If you're ready to scale your business this year past where you could have ever imagined, then this video is for you. Sydney, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Yeah.
This is going to be fun.
I've been listening forever, plus I've been a student of yours forever now. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah, this is going to be so good. Can you tell everybody just a little bit about who you are and what you do in the industry?
Yeah, so I'm Sydney Garvey and I run Garvey's Gardens. And I started as a flower farmer back in 2020, and then we expanded to a retail brick and mortar florist shop, and we do weddings and we flower all of life's occasions, and we are out in the western slope of Colorado, so Grand Junction, but so we flower anywhere in Colorado and eastern Utah, which includes Moab, so we cover a very large area. So at the beginning of 2023, I had just wrapped up. I was a student of the Abundance Group, so Dale and Ashley, and they're amazing. I was in the middle of opening the brick and mortar shop, hiring my staff for that. Really had no idea now looking back, like what it would take to run the brick and mortar, but like we had been a flower farm and I had been doing weddings, and so I just knew that I really wanted, the weddings are what I love besides growing the flowers, so bringing the weddings up more and having somebody who focuses on that was a really big piece for me. Plus there's like, I didn't want like a brick and mortar coach or a florist coach, because I do things so differently as a flower farmer. Like that's my primary thing, is that we do all locally grown flowers, and a lot of them are from our farm. So I knew the flower side. It was the business side, the wedding business side specifically, that I wanted more help with. So literally, I think I've been listening to this podcast since I started flower farming. And so it was just one of those things like, yep, okay, like you did a round, and it was, let's make 2023 a really, really great year for weddings. And we did. We tripled the number of weddings between 2022 and 2023. And then this year we're looking at tripling again.
That is incredible. You said that you tripled, obviously, and you're going to triple again. This time, what's different about how you're going to triple your business, do you feel like?
The biggest thing is that I have a team. They are in the shop, so everybody works shifts in the shop, and then we each kind of have our specialty as well. One of them handles our consults in the sales aspect of it, and then me and another one swoop in when we need to. But yeah, the fact that we have a team now, and I don't have to do all of the consults, and I don't have to do all the weddings, and we can do multiple weddings in a day.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the things that you mentioned to me when we first started working together was that you were like, I do all of the weddings, right? Like I have a team, I have people that help, but I feel like it's all on me. And you were like, I just don't know how to do any more weddings than we already do. And I think what's been really fun is just today, you were like, so I had a consult for a massive wedding, and my sales manager had another consult at the same time. And I was like, yes, this is what we built, right? Like, this is it. Because for you, it wasn't about the fact that you didn't have team members yet. It was more about the fact that your team wasn't strategically built to be able to take on the influx of business that you could book, right?
Yep.
And now you don't have to be in the middle of all of it. You know, they can handle things without your intervention, which helps a ton, I'm sure.
Yeah. And giving them that power too is just awesome to see them rise to that occasion and take it on. And like, we set goals, but then to be in a manager meeting and they're like, no, I want to do more. And it's like, okay, awesome. Like, let's go get them.
Yeah. And it's so cool to even hear you say we had a manager's meeting. I'm like, yes, girl, because especially, you know, for anybody that's listening, if you have multiple streams of revenue, like Sydney does, right? It's like you've got the farm, you've got the shop, you've got weddings. Having your brain spread between the three is so difficult. But being able to manage and pour into the three people who are really going to service those areas is so much easier. And think about just how much you're scaling. One of the other things that I found really, really interesting, I'd love for you to touch on this, is that you said, I don't want a florist coach. Like, I already know how to do that. And I think one of the biggest misconceptions with the accelerator is that people say, oh, is it just for planners? I feel like it's just for planners. I think because I am a planner, I'm not really sure why people think that. But we have all kinds of wedding pros inside the accelerator. because it is really a business course. It's not about like how to make timelines or, how to process flowers. I don't know how to do that. And I'm not, so, but the business behind your business is the same no matter what kind of a pro you are. So can you touch on that a little bit? Like, what was it that made you know you didn't necessarily need a floral coach? And what was it? Was there a piece of content or something that I said that helped you say, yeah, like this is going to be the place I go?
So the floral side of it, like I have the creative floral side down, and even as flower farmers in general, we always are like, yeah, growing the flowers is the easy part. Easy being, in quotes. Like for us, that part is the easy part. It's then selling them that's the hard part. And so same thing as a florist. It's, ordering the flowers in from wherever you order them from. We're 100% American grown, but you can get them from everywhere. Ordering them in, like your business flows as a florist and creating the arrangements, that's our bread and butter, but that's what we love to do. And so a lot of the time it's creating the back end systems that really hold us back. And so having it be a really easy lead funnel for people to reach out to, like it was all over the place to me originally. And so it was just knowing how to have all those streams, a funnel really is what I'm describing. So how to make a funnel. And
how to streamline all of it, right?
That. Before I signed up, I didn't really know what a funnel was. I knew it like actually what it was, but not how to make it happen. And so that was huge. And then I think just your prowess around website plus social and ads and like just all the resources that you have was really a big selling point.
If you're a wedding florist, a photographer, a DJ, a venue, a planner, or any other type of wedding pro, and you are loving what you're hearing in this episode, I would encourage you to drop down into the description below and check out the Wedding Pro CEO Accelerator. I'm ready to help you double or even triple your revenue this year.
I was looking back in the course because now I just go back and pinpoint after going through all of it and listening to everything. It's like, okay, now I just go back and cherry pick what I need when I need it, which is really nice. So like when we were redoing our website, go back to the website sections in marketing. You added in a lot of stuff about the chat bots and Instagram and socials, which was really helpful. And then I went back recently and rewatched an interview you guys did with Google Ads. So that was good too.
Yeah. Lots of new stuff always being popped into the program as we're learning new stuff, and which is always a lot of fun to be able to keep going back to the program and grabbing things out of it, like you said, as you go and as you're growing. Because when you come in, you're at one place and then it's like, okay, I've grown so much, so let's see what else that you can get out of the program. Do you feel like you set a goal when you started the program? Because I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you joined like the same day your shop opened, or very, very close to the same time.
Yeah, that probably wasn't the best choice of mine. Like, I should have just joined earlier. I set just a goal of like going through everything. I really wanted to do the CEO Monday meetings and like be on the calls more, but that just didn't happen because of me opening the shop. So I was one of the weird ones where even though you offer all this amazing video coaching and stuff, I didn't really take you up on it until later in the game, because I was just, my life was so busy, but there was so much value in the class itself that was great. So my goal was that my husband does triathlons. And so when he was doing triathlon training and I was at the lake and I would be kayaking or walking or whatever, I was always listening to sections. So it was like, okay, this week we're going to go through the mindset module. This week we're going to go through the marketing module. And so I would be listening as we were at the lake. So it was like my CEO morning listening to the modules and stuff. And then when we got home, I would be able to go back and like do what you had talked about.
Yeah. I think that that's so helpful for people to hear, because I often hear people say, I'm in busy season and I just don't know how to fit it in right now. And I'm with you. I mean, I always have a business coach 100% of the time. I always have a business coach. I feel like there's never really a great time, to join. No. I don't think there's ever a time where you're like, I'm just going to sit on the beach and drink margaritas and, do this whole program. That's not going to happen. But if you know that it's important to you and you're going to make that investment back, you find time to do it. And I love that you were saying like your husband was training for triathlons and you listen. Like I love encouraging our students to say, just listen to the modules like a podcast, make notes in your phone or whatever and say, I need to go back to this one and then go back and do that thing. So I think that that's really, really helpful advice for anybody that's listening to be able to implement.
And because all the calls are recorded too, like once I finished the modules listening to it, then I would listen to the calls, and it was just very, very helpful.
It is great to hear from you that you weren't able to make a lot of the calls and still got so much value out of it. So one of the things I'd love to ask you is, I know you said that you guys were looking at tripling your wedding business this year. What else is going to be different about your business this year? Like, what kind of projections are you looking to make? If there's numbers you're willing to share, we'd love to hear them, but you don't have to. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, the shop was weird. Like the brick and mortar florist side was weird because didn't really know where that was going to end up. So now we actually have numbers to base it off of. But tripling like number of weddings this coming year because of having the staff. Budget wise, really that's the biggest thing, was that we actually have a spending plan going into this year.
Yes.
And so that's huge now that we have enough years of business under our belt, and this year I'm not planning on adding like a whole nother side of things like I was last year, where I added so many things. This year's
more
like, okay, exactly, like actually do that, and having the spending plan, which is from the template that you have in the accelerator, and having that all planned out. And it wasn't hard to switch your template into like a florist template of what we pay for in the shop and everything else. Like it was very easy to modify it and make it work for us too. So,
and I think what's so fun about working with you is that it's like last year was a huge year of spending for you, right? And because you were opening up the brick and mortar, like, and anybody that knows, anytime you make a big business venture, you're going to have a tremendous outlay of cash. And there's so much unknown that you just don't know what you're going to have expenses coming up. So one of the things I love for this year that we're really, really focused on for you is profit. Like, let's stick to the spending plan. You know, if it's not on the spending plan, it has to be a dire need. And my husband and I go through years like that in our business. You know, it's like, this is a spending year, this is a savings year, and it helps to kind of balance it out. So I'm excited for what you're going to do in your business this year.
And you asked earlier, now that you said that, there was one episode in the podcast, but I honestly don't know if this is before I signed up or not, but where you were talking about operating in the red. And that was just like really comforting to be like, okay, I'm not the only one that's doing this for right now. Like, you see a way out. It's not like you're going to close or anything, but like you're doing it because you did this big investment somewhere and you know you're going to make it up, but like how?
Yeah, I think that that's important. I do try to share, you know, obviously inside of the program, I'm a lot more transparent about numbers and things like that. But I do like to share on the podcast that it's not all roses and sunshine. And some years you're in the red purposefully, right? Like, you know, you're going to be, because you're going to make a huge investment. And then you've got to really work hard to make that investment back. So it's not, you know, you're not always in the red just because you screwed something up. It's often because you're making a very thoughtful, intentional plan to do that. But you can only do that for so long, right, before you're out of money. And so it's kind of like, okay, how are we going to fix this now? So, Sydney, if there was somebody that's listening, you know, this episode will air right around the same time you joined last year. So if there's somebody that's listening that is like, okay, will this work for me? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I would say if you're a florist of any sorts of wedding floral designer, I'll do it from that angle.
Yeah,
if you're a flower
please,
farmer
I love
or
it.
Florist, flowering weddings, and you feel like, you know, you have the flower side down, but your business end could use some TLC, like, you can't go wrong. So, and really, if you think about it, like, one wedding and you paid for it. So, there you go.
Yeah, that's always my thought too. When I join a program or I sign up with a new business coach, I'm like, what would I have to do to make this money back? Like, even if I, you know, didn't double my revenue, even if I didn't, you know, whatever, what would I have to do? And it's like, really, that's it? It's one wedding, you know? And so when you think about it in that perspective, you're like, it's kind of a no-brainer, because you could keep doing the same thing you're doing every year and burn out real quick, or you could get some help and scale really big. Yeah. So I love it. I love it. This is super helpful. Sydney has a podcast, which is Garvey's Gardens podcast, right?
Yeah, it's me and my marketing manager, Audrey. So it's nice and conversational, and we talk all things flowers and farming and weddings and just things that we do here in Western Colorado too.
Sydney, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Hey CEO, if this video was helpful, make sure to check out the linked videos in the description below to help you build a profitable wedding business that you've always dreamed of.